Hello and welcome to a very special episode of The Buck Stops Here. I'm Vishnu Shom and I'm in the Tangdhar region of North Kashmir, a part of Kashmir which the army mans day in and day out across extremely inhospitable terrain. Over the last year or so, the line of control has been active across all parts of the LOC, Tangdhar as well. There is often speculative fire over here when the enemy fires just to test our defences. And there's also the constant concern, the constant threat of BAT actions or border action teams. What exactly are these teams? These are mixed teams with special forces of the Pakistan Army and also terrorists who work together to try and make shallow incursions into our territory, to hit our soldiers, to maim and mutilate and then return. The Indian Army responds with a great deal of aggression to this. And BAT attacks have been taking place for a while. It's only now, however, that the army speaks about it in open. They say that if you hit us, we will hit you back much more. It's 1 a.m. in the morning in Tangdhar in North Kashmir, in a remote post, 10 hours away from Srinagar. We are at an altitude of about 7,000 feet. Along one of the main infiltration routes into Jammu and Kashmir.
किसी को कोई तकलीफ हमारी बटालियन को एरिया काला पहाड़ में 4 से 5 टेररिस्ट का इनपुट मिला है। आज रात हम नाले में एम्बुश लगाएंगे। वेपन चेक, इक्विपमेंट चेक। किसी को कोई संदिग्ध हरकत दिखता है तो मेरे पाय पर फायर खुलेगा। किसी को मेरे ब्रीफिंग में कोई शक या सवाल शक नहीं तो जयकारा बिरसा मुंडा की जय, बजरंग बली की जय।
These soldiers, who are part of a battalion deployed here, are about to get to work.
आगे मूव कीजिए।
We cannot name their battalion, their regiment, the name of the post or the officers we interview. And we cannot describe the broad geographical contours of this location. Being discreet is key to being given access to the line of control. We follow them on a path no more than 1.5 feet wide. To our right is a slope which looks like any other slope on a hillside, except it isn't. It's a minefield. And to our left is a sharp drop-off. Everywhere there's dense forest and no sound at all. It is in this environment that these soldiers work, day in, day out. At the moment, the temperatures are sub-zero. It's intensely cold. Normally, you wouldn't see these soldiers at all. They operate here by night in pitch darkness using their night vision devices. Today, we are allowed to film these men on patrol after several precautions have been taken. Our army minders have taken care to ensure that we are in an area that cannot be observed from any Pakistan army post, several of which lie just a few hundred meters away. As these men set up their ambush positions and wait, we get an idea of just what being on the prowl on the line of control is all about. The biggest worry here are Pakistani BAT or border action teams, men who come across to try and mutilate Indian soldiers, an effort to demoralize our forces. These killers could be anywhere. These soldiers have to be constantly alert. Ahead of the fence and just short of the line of control itself, the Indian Army is involved in a cat and mouse game. Intruders try to come in sometimes. The Indian Army needs to remain alert for that. Ambushes like the ones which have been set up over here are a constant priority for the army to ensure that any attempt by Pakistani forces, whether they're regular forces or they're terrorists in coming into India, coming into our side, is prevented and is engaged. As we head back to the army post for the night, we can share a story that you don't see on camera. As we were filming these sequences, the lead scout of the patrol reported that he had seen something move.
Sir, please switch off the lights, sir. Switch off the lights. What's that? Something.
For 15 minutes, with our cameras off, we sat silently and waited for the all clear. As night gives way to this beautiful morning, we decided to ask the colonel commanding this post just what could have gone wrong during the night.
While we were doing this filming yesterday, one of the scouts heard some kind of a movement. He heard some kind of a sound, and whenever a patrol moves out, or whenever a sub-unit level operation is taking place, the scout is a very important person in this whole operation. So it is up to him to decide whether the patrol moves forward or otherwise. It's inbuilt within him, and he is well within his right to stop the patrol, confirm it once again whether everything ahead is safe for the entire patrol to move ahead or otherwise. So this is what the soldiers are trained to while we are before we get in here, and constantly on a day-to-day basis there's a lot of mentoring and teaching and learning which goes in as far as this aspect is concerned.
Guarding this post are soldiers in several bunkers and vantage points. They are looking out at enemy posts just a few hundred meters away. Every single day, there's speculative gunfire here. The Pakistan Army does this, firing off a random number of machine gun rounds to caution the Indian Army. This is not targeted necessarily, it's just a show of their presence. The Army doesn't respond to this. The men here do not believe in speculative fire. When they do fire, they do so with a target and an objective in mind.
We have a lot of speculative fire here from the enemy's side, and they fire in the nalas or they fire below our post just to tell us probably that we are alert. The enemy is trying to probably tell us that they are alert. So this is what we can make out of the speculative fire when it comes around our posts from the enemy's side.
The post I am in is along one of the main infiltration routes in this region. As the crow flies, I'm just a few hundred meters away from Pakistani villages. Many of the homes here are under observation. A terrorist launch pad doesn't need to be a Pak Army post.
When we talk about terrorist launch pads or launch pads by border action teams, what exactly are these pads? What do they look like? Well, in certain cases, yes, they can be military posts, but very often these are small homes in small villages which are scattered across the entire area. So when it comes to surveillance of possible bat attack points or terrorist infiltration points, the army tries to keep all of these areas under surveillance. This particular hillside features lots of these small homes in villages. These are all small villages in Pakistan occupied Kashmir that the army needs to be worried about, to keep an eye on these, to watch out for movement. And just beneath this hill feature, as you go down, you see a major highway in the area. That's a highway of Pakistan occupied Kashmir.
Much of the day is spent doing what other soldiers of this unit do at night, patrolling over and over again. These patrols come with their own share of risks. On the one hand, patrols can detect intruders. On the other hand, these men are also vulnerable. Away from the safety of their well-defended posts, men like these have been targeted by Pak border action teams lying in wait. Just last month, this image stunned many across the country. The price of freedom, the widow of Major Prafulla Moharkar at his cremation. These pictures show that she meant the world to the young major. Pictures of their wedding, of them on vacation, and this image which says it all. Happiness is being married to your best friend. India hit back hard.
Yesterday at 6 p.m., India avenged the death of Major Moharkar and the 3 Sikh soldiers that he was commanding. And the message seems absolutely clear. If Indian soldiers are ambushed in this manner, then the retaliation will be swift and it will be brutal.
This is where it happened, about 300 meters across the line of control in Poonch. As a Pak Army patrol left their small post, there was an explosion. A few Pak soldiers were killed. Those who survived were eliminated by a Ghatak commando unit of the army. 5 men who crossed 300 meters into Pakistan fired at the Pakistanis and returned without any injury. The attack was ordered by a brigadier in the area. It was a local level operation meant to send out a clear message. If you ambush our men in our territory, we will hit back hard. This sort of copycat retaliation is not new. It's been happening for years. What's different is India's willingness to share operational details every time something like this happens. The attack across the LOC may have been covert. The messaging clearly wasn't, a point reinforced today by the Army Chief General Bipin Rawat on Army Day.
पाकिस्तानी सेना संघर्ष विराम का उल्लंघन जारी रखते हुए आतंकवादियों की घुसपैठ में सहायता करने के प्रयास करती रहती है। हम विरोधियों को सबक सिखाने के लिए अपनी ताकत का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं। पाकिस्तान की किसी भी उकसाने वाली कार्रवाई का हम हमेशा मुंह तोड़ जवाब देते रहेंगे। अगर हमें मजबूर किया गया तब हम अपनी सैन्य कार्रवाई के दर्जे को बढ़ाकर अन्य कार्रवाई भी कर सकते हैं।
For these men, though, out in sub-zero temperatures, the macro-level picture of how to handle Pakistan is difficult to understand. Here on the line of control, it is often a fight for life and death. Being alert and being accountable for the safety of fellow soldiers comes first, always. Living to fight another day in these adverse conditions is what defending the line of control is all about. With camera person Amir, Vishnu Shob for NDTV.